man.
What's your name?
My name is Cardi Cornish.
And you a legend?
I'm a legend.
You're a legend here in Baltimore City. Where we at right now?
We live in the 17, Pennsylvania Avenue. The legendary Pennsylvania Avenue.
Man, the last time I saw you here, you were doing something just across the street here. What were you doing?
Oh yeah, I had some food left over from an event. We brung it out and fed a couple of people, man.
Why you do that?
Nice soul food.
Why you do that?
Man, the love that God has shown me in Christ, man, it overflows. That's how it overflows.
Yes, sir.
We got more than we can use.
Already was high within San Antonio Winchester community, but the age group is getting younger. Children under the age of 18 being murdered in San Antonio has a high peak right now. So our goal is to catch the children.
You're going hard, man. You're going hard on that man today.
So what do you think, Mr. Mayor? You got manufacturing right here, helping our young people despite all of the challenges in the city of Baltimore, right here on North Avenue.
No, it's really about the growth. Just knowing where, being there when they were down in Port Covington and seeing how far it's grown. Like you said earlier, like getting the Sorbet, you know, where we got the Sorbet at the beginning, but now being able to, when I'm at Cannon Yards, get it, or anytime I'm down at Harbor Place to get it, and folks to not even know, but they gonna know now that like this is coming from young people in West Baltimore, right there in West Baltimore on North Avenue, where they think nothing great comes from, but they can see it in what the young people do.
Here on the bank of Mississippi, down right there, French Lord Mathis. A beautiful town, just leaving Algiers, which is an update 10 years since Katrina. The news. All right, y'all, this is what I came to New York for. Besides the Black Wall Street Awards, we're going ahead and get some of this real good jerk chicken. Johnny Glover, out.
Your skin, just the touch of your hand makes me tremble within.
But we need to feed our loved ones. DOTS needs to rescind this package policy program so that our loved ones are able to eat every day in that filthy facility that they
We have some stars in the building.
First name's Doni, last name's Glover. In it to win it for the long haul, baby. We have a show for you today. And I got to tell you, when we first planned the show, we had Chad Williams all set up. He's the executive director of the West North Avenue Development Authority, WNADA, in Baltimore City. It was authorized by chapters 80 and 81 of 2021. The authority supports the development and approval of a comprehensive neighborhood revitalization plan in the West North Avenue development area. But then we got a phone call that we would be able, good morning, Chad, to bring on P. David Bramble. Now, if you don't know, you ought to know. P. David Bramble, he's the managing partner, co-founder, slow down, Doni, has been working in real estate investment for over 20 years. He dedicates his time to sourcing and capitalizing transactions and overseeing projects, underwriting, and execution. He's a nationally recognized developer. His mom, dear mentor and friend of mine, owner of the Baltimore Times, she and his dad, I guess his father, Peter, have been delivering a wonderful newspaper. His dad writes his column, The Overcome, and I've been reading that for the past 30, 35 years, ever since I've been a journalist. And they gave me one of my first shots at citywide writing. David, welcome to the show. How are you? Good morning, David. How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Listen, you and Chad have a overlapping circle. You have that big old project there at North and Linden, the replacement of what was known as Murder Mall. I think Nick Mosby coined the phrase, he and some other activists like Yolanda Pulley. But you've taken that area, and just across the street is some huge $300,000 houses. But that area is an overlap for both you and Chad. So how's that going? Can you hear us okay? You there, David?
I think it froze up.
It did freeze up. Chad, tell me about that West North Avenue, that overlap right there, North and Linden.
Yeah, so David is doing a great job of transforming that corner of West North Avenue, which is a gateway coming into West North Avenue, traveling west. David looks like he's back, so he can explain that more. But for the overlap, WNADA is a 100% supporter of that development area. I'll let David talk about the development, and then maybe I'll make a special announcement that the board did yesterday to help support that project.
So thank you so much for having me. I lost you for a little bit, Donnie. So I don't know if there was a specific question, but that project at Madison Park that you mentioned, very, very long time coming, took over a decade to get the community and all the stakeholders aligned so that we can move forward with that project. And I've said this many times. I know everyone only wants to talk to me about Harbor Place, but the reality is having the chance to execute that large scale redevelopment in my own neighborhood where I grew up is one of the most meaningful things I'll do in my career.
How does it feel? My dad was a funeral director. He had a funeral home, 712, 714 East North Avenue. When I go other places, when I waited tables, they say, "Where are you from?" Down at the harbor, they say, "Where are you from?" I say, "I'm from up north." And they were like, "What, New York?" I say, "No, North Avenue." I've always been proud of North Avenue. I've sold newspapers on North Avenue. I've lived on North Avenue. But it is so refreshing to meet someone who comes from that same general community, and you still live in the area.
I do. And I do because I think that, I've said this too. The reality is there isn't anybody to do anything but us. Chad and Doni, all the work you do on the community side and the communication side. And I mean, the work that Chad is doing with the support of Senator Hayes and basically everybody, we finally decided we're going to stop waiting for some savior to show up, and we're going to grab the bull by the horns, and we're going to invest in our own neighborhoods. And I think that, too often people don't feel empowered. They don't feel like, they live in an impoverished area. They feel like that's how it's supposed to be. That's where they belong. I'm sorry, that's complete nonsense. Everyone, and I do mean everyone, should have the opportunity and has the right to live in a nice neighborhood with mixed incomes and a coffee shop and a grocery store and all that stuff. But it's not going to happen unless we seize the moment and seize the opportunity, and we make these investments. And so I'm glad that I could be in a position to be part of that. And I also know I'm super glad you got Chad on, because it can't be done without partners. This is really hard. It's really hard, but it's doable, which I think is important for people to understand.
Yeah.
David, I don't know if you've seen some of the meetings that Chad has pulled together at Unity Hall. He has a big one coming up this Saturday from 10 to 12. And big ups also to Senator Antonio Hayes. But this is the first time that I've ever seen so much community involvement from communities from Reservoir Hill and North and Mount Royal all the way up to North and Hilton. Chad, that's unprecedented.
Well, I guess it is, for West Baltimore, but for me, I think it's just the human thing to do. A lot of these things that I'm starting to learn in Baltimore, people are amazed that they're happening, and I'm thinking it's just the right thing to do. point blank. And that's, I don't need any awards. I don't need no media recognition. It's just the right thing to do. And when we engage with the community, we interact with them on the neighborhood and plan and development documents that we're doing. They're 100% engaged every step of the way. And I think is an example for many people in the city and the state to take notice of. And they have at the General Assembly here in Baltimore City. They're just amazed that we can get almost 350 some people to come to a comprehensive planning session dealing with 2.6 miles in Baltimore. And sometimes the city and state can't get that many folks for comprehensive plans for those jurisdictions.
David, let me shift down to the harbor. I've come to some of a couple of the meetings that you've had there. One, I gotta say, and let me just do a plug. For those who don't know, that was my first book, Unapologetically Black. The second book, I Am Black Wall Street, and my most recent book, Journalpreneur. So people who watch the show know that I'm not ashamed of being black. But when I see a black man during the time of a young black mayor, because I wasn't always a Brandon fan. It took me a while to get on board. And he did clean up the squeegee kids. Big ups to Brandon or Mayor Scott. But when I see that Mayor Scott, during his tenure, has a black man at the harbor, at the inner harbor, that no one has said a word about in the past 25 years. The gallery died, the pavilions are on life support. And then as soon as you show up, and I come to the meeting, I see Al Berry at the meeting. And the picture right now is on Be More News. You're right there at the table, and it's not like you're sitting away from the table. You're actually leading this meeting, and I'm seeing all of these people from different communities. I am so proud of both of you to see us leading the way in our city. For so long, other people have dumped their ideas. And so big ups to you also, P. David Bramble, for pulling together so many smart people right here in the city of Baltimore to talk about our harbor. We love the harbor too. We've just seen the money go into the white owl versus the black butterfly.
Yeah, I thank you. And I'll tell you, we approached Harbor Place, I think, differently than anybody expected. We approached it by saying this is a citywide project. And then our community engagement process wasn't just the high-end neighborhoods right around the waterfront, which I know made some people a little unhappy. It included the whole city. So I've heard people say, oh, we just did a quick community engagement. That is the biggest nonsense. And Doni, because you were at a couple of these things. I mean, we met with thousands of people. We even had signs on the sides of city buses. We had signs on MTA buses that said, come talk to us about what you want to see for Harbor Place. And I got to say, I believe it was a really successful community engagement. And for transparency, it's all published on our website at www.ourharborplace.com. You can go click on it and you can see what everybody was saying, which I think is really important. Because I think a lot of times when people say community engagement, they're really just talking at the community. We were not doing that. And it's for two reasons. One is I'm from Baltimore and, I love this town. I think anybody who knows me knows that. But the second reason is a very practical reason. Harbor Place, or really any development we do, is not going to be successful if people don't come to it and use it. And so we really believe that people are going to be much more likely to come to something, use it, and enjoy it if they had a hand in thinking about how it would be designed and used. And so we really wanted to reach out for those reasons, is to make sure people really felt like, wow, this really is our Harbor Place. And then two, to make sure that people are engaged and they understand this is from a economic trajectory standpoint, getting this project done has the chance to reset the trajectory of our entire downtown, which, as is in a tailspin at the moment.
I got to ask you, how is it going from West North Avenue to Princeton?
It is like going from that's a really good question. I would let me say it just directly. It's very, very, very different. But you find your
culture shock there.
It's a culture shock, but you find your place, you find your people. I certainly did. And I had a very enjoyable and successful experience at Princeton. I felt blessed. And I think that City College, Baltimore City College, where I went to high school, really prepared me. I was extremely well prepared for undergraduate. And without that prep from City, I don't think I would have done well at Princeton.
Well, normally, David, when City College is mentioned to someone who spent a couple of years at Poly, whose children have graduated from Poly, especially during this particular week, I would say something slick, but I'm not gonna do that this time. Maybe I should have gone to City because I found out at Poly I didn't want to be an engineer, but that is still the greatest rivalry in all of America. My school is better than your school. What more beautiful? It's certainly better than my gang is better than your gang. But I mean, big ups to Mayor Schmoke. We had on earlier this week Larry Gibson, and I realized that he was a City graduate. And but I was getting to the fact that the City Knights are owners of the Baltimore Orioles.
That's right. That's right. And you talk about people like Larry Gibson and Kurt Schmoke. I mean, these people really reshaped the city. It's one of the things I love about, having gone to Baltimore City College is it's just amazing connections and people and a history of people who played a major role in the city. And now, as you said, the owner of the Baltimore Orioles is a City College graduate, David Rubenstein. And I think Mayor Schmoke is also an investor in the Orioles. And I will say this, for as much smack as I'll talk this week about the game, one of my best friends on earth who lives in Reservoir Hill, right by the project we're doing, is a Poly grad. And so lots of great Poly grads in my circle and very close friends. And so I can tolerate you guys sometimes, just not this week.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Can you explain to me now? I caught wind of this. Now I got to tell you, when the name Thiru Vignarajah comes up, there have been times when I wanted to fight. This is beyond Poly City stuff. This is like, this guy's really Don Quixote with a toothbrush. What is this question, P? And the way it's worded, I'm confused, and I don't like to be confused. We want to present people Baltimore question F, Inner Harbor Park Charter Amendment. Yes vote supports amending the city charter. A no vote opposes amending the city charter. Can you educate us on what we should be doing if we support your plan at the Inner Harbor?
You support our plan at the Inner Harbor, we firmly and fervently request that you vote yes on question F. A yes vote on question F, despite the fact that there are folks who tried to keep that question off the ballot. That yes question will allow us to go forward with the development plan that we've taken through the city's development master plan process. And that's sort of the last step in the zoning and entitlement. There's still many more steps of planning after this. But without this, the project will not be able to move forward as planned. So it's critical that if people believe that that Baltimore has even greater days ahead of it than it has today, that we get real support to vote yes on question F. So thank you for bringing that up, because that is really critical. I think there is confusion that was sown out there because of that lawsuit. But let me be 100% clear. Unless people vote yes on question F, our project will not be able to move forward.
Well, I'm glad that it's the first option. It's at the top versus the no, and I'm glad we are able to clarify. No, really, because people don't like to read. It's a down ballot question. Everybody's focused on the dude with the helicopter haircut, not getting him in there, and then there's questions about the U.S. Senate. So we really want to make this important. I remember in previous elections, other entities have interjected into our community. Is there anything more that we can do to illuminate support? Yes, for question F. What else can we do? I mean,
I think
early voting starts tomorrow.
Early voting starts tomorrow. I think that it's very important that you spread the word, because there is confusion and people are spreading misinformation that we're going to take away the promenade, that we're taking away public parks, all this kind of nonsense that people are spewing. None of that is true. We're increasing the amount of public park space. We're not asking for, a tax increment financing or anything like that. There is money coming in from the state and the city, but that's all going towards park space and the promenade, all things that are city things, not things for us as developers. And I think it's just over and over again, I hear people spew these lies and spread misinformation. Do me a favor, go to ourharborplace.com and look at the plan. Just look at it. Look how it opens up views to the water. Look how there's going to be more access. Go there today and see what we're doing for small and minority-led businesses, giving them opportunities to operate temporarily there, and hopefully bringing some of them back in the long-term development. We really believe that this plan is amazing. And if anyone's had a chance to visit major waterfronts around the world, you'll see why the experts and other folks that we've hired have come up with these amazing plans based on all the community engagement and so forth. And so we're really excited about it. We think it's an amazing plan. We want everybody to know it's going to be hard. This will not be easy. But neither was Madison Park North. Neither was Reservoir Square. That wasn't easy either. But it's doable if we are willing to bet, if we're willing to invest, if we are willing to put our backs into this. And so I just urge everybody to talk to their friends and family when they hear people spreading misinformation. Have them go to ourharborplace.com. I mean, one more piece of misinformation that I hear people spread all the time is that the mayor gave this project to us in some kind of backroom deal. I got to tell you, nothing could be farther from the truth. We acquired these buildings. We had to buy them, and we bought them from the lender who was foreclosing in a receivership process. So it was a public acquisition in a court, in a public court. We actually had to submit our purchase contract. The court accepted our contract and then made us wait to see if anyone had a higher offer. So everyone who's complaining about, this specter of a backroom deal should recognize that anyone could have stepped up to do this. Anyone, literally anyone, and no one did. And I've said this 1,000 times, and I'll say it again. For people who don't understand what MCB does, we are not a small developer. We have 4 million square feet of construction projects going around. We own billions of dollars of commercial real estate. MCB, my partner Peter Pinkert and I, need this deal like we need a hole in our heads. We're doing it because we're the only ones who are willing to step up, spend millions of dollars, and take a chance on transforming downtown Baltimore in a way that we think reflects our feelings about Baltimore and our community outreach. So I really appreciate you giving me the chance to tell people, vote yes on question F, support this. Don't look backwards, look forwards, because we have a bright future ahead of us. And it's not just downtown, as Chad discussed, it's in our neighborhoods. And so it's very exciting times, and thank you for making time available for me.
Oh, we got one more treat for you. Chad, I wanted to shift gears for a second. Chad, back in 1910, an ordinance was proposed by then Mayor J. Barry Mahul, saying that whites couldn't move into black neighborhoods and vice versa. Blacks couldn't move into white neighborhoods and whites couldn't move into black neighborhoods, making Baltimore the home of segregation. And those policies were replicated around the country. So here's the question. With that backdrop, Chad, do you think that Baltimore is anti-business?
No. Why? That's a strange question. I think
I say that because we don't have any Fortune 500 companies. We chase businesses away. There are incredible taxes on businesses. A lot of businesses move from Baltimore City to the harbor, and you're charged with redeveloping West North Avenue, including the part where Peter is with Madison Park. I'm just saying, my dad had a business down on MLK on Madison, right off MLK. They were building a state center. They're talking about the red line. We've seen West Side redevelopment displace a lot of businesses. There's a lot of history here, and I know we're throwing you in the fire, but
nah, you fine.
From your
your question threw me off because I'm wondering if you got some inside administration baseball notes on what's going on, and so what I do know is that in the next General Assembly, Governor Moore is definitely going to be coming out and strongly supporting economic development, not just in Baltimore, but throughout the state. And just as West North Avenue Development Authority is a state of Maryland independent agency, I think one of those charges will be, for me, is to go out in the country and recruit Black minority businesses, Fortune 500 companies to relocate, not just in Baltimore, but along West North Avenue. Most people don't realize there's a slight caveat in our legislation, and actually our name is actually the West North Avenue Development Authority for Baltimore City. All right. And so the board has the ability to expand how we operate. Obviously, we're focused along West North Avenue in our buffer zone. But we also know that how we operate with our grants and our procurement process gives an opportunity for us to bring businesses wherever they are in the country along West North Avenue. And so I wouldn't say that, I would say yes, that Baltimore is business friendly. We have a mayor who's supporting businesses, particularly Black businesses. We have a governor who's supporting businesses, particularly Black businesses. And we have a General Assembly, even if we include Senate President Bill Ferguson supporting minority businesses. And so I think that's important for us to recognize.
So I gotta just put this out there. Yes, we are a minority in America. We are 15% of the population.
Yeah.
And yes, I've advocated for minority business enterprises for the past 20 years. But I must say that when you get in, when I've gotten into, when I did get a MBE contract, I'd much rather be the prime. I want to be like David. I want to be the prime. I don't want to be the sub. So David, what is your perspective? Is Baltimore pro-business, or are we still struggling with the original sin of America? Have we gotten it together? I mean, Chad's being polite. He's from DC. DC is a cosmopolitan town. It's an international city. And like you know, he's been around the world. He's seen things, you know. And then I gotta say this, David. They didn't have a peep to say about the harbor over the past 20 years. And I honestly feel like as soon, okay, they see a Black man there, and it's not like you had like the Black Panther, you had Wakanda. You've got Al Berry at the table. You've got a mix of people and good people. I mean, okay, help me out, David. I'm trying to be clear.
Hold on. Before David asks, Dottie, so one thing I will say about WNADA is that 48.3% of our grants and procurements go to Black businesses as prime.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And about half of those go to, about more than 2/3 or 3/3 go to Baltimore City businesses or residents, right? And so I think it's all about leadership and being intentional at the state and at the city. That's one of the reasons why we sponsored the city's procurement conference this summer. Is one of the reasons why we're a leadership sponsor at the Baltimore Together Summit, is that we want to demonstrate leadership that people who grew up in Baltimore, who live in Baltimore, who have invested in Baltimore, and it's just not being a big developer and investor. When you take the bus, when you choose to stay in Baltimore, you're investing in Baltimore. And that's where we want to make sure that those individuals first have the opportunity for state funding, resources, and procurement.
I want to say something, Donnie. I think this is really important. You know that obviously I come from a family of small business folks. When I first got started in the business, the way I was able to get a little bit of capital to start doing deals is my parents sold me the house that we grew up in, where I live now, and then they let me have the money back to make investments. And it wasn't huge wealth. We're not talking no millions and millions of dollars, but that was the spark of generational wealth, right? That created the opportunity for me to go on and become a real estate investor. And I think that's why what Chad's saying is so important, is we have to support these small businesses, because that is where people get that first kernel of wealth, owning a home, starting a small business. And it doesn't happen in 5 minutes, right? Like, it's not like you're not just going to wake up tomorrow and be Bill Gates. It doesn't work like that. We don't have that network. So what's happening now, and why this whole experience and this time in Baltimore is so valuable, you said it. You got the mayor, you got the governor, you've got the speaker, you've got the
Senate president,
you got the Senate president. All of the politics are lined up. Then you have all the other, investors and other folks who realize that Baltimore is this amazing gem sitting in one of the most productive economic corridors in the world, right? Washington, D.C. to New York, and maybe Boston, let's say, right? So here we are, this little gem that's overlooked, that people have discounted, yet we're sitting with all these resources, universities and law schools and professional sports teams and waterfront, right? Waterfront, all these things. And it's time for us to seize the day. Like, I am telling you, I am excited. Like, it is time for us to seize the day. No more crying, no more complaining. Let's do it. So vote yes on question F. Let's F and go, as they say, because it's time. No more sitting around waiting for someone to, I said this the other day, sprinkle fairy dust on us and all of a sudden everything changes. That's not going to happen. It's up to us. So I'm ready for it. And the stuff that Chad and Senator Hayes and like the stuff that you're doing, that's what we have to lean into. It's time.
Well, I'm pro-business. We'd like to welcome to the show. This is one of your new neighbors. After you win question F, this young man, Frederick Ubala. Welcome, Frederick. We call him Freddie Mac. Freddie Mac, how you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing well.
They got good chicken tenders. You know that, right?
That's right.
Freddie, tell them about you being their new neighbor there at the harbor.
Oh yeah, so we recently moved into McHenry Row, in Locust Point, and we're super excited to be a part of the South Baltimore community. It's been nothing but love and good reception, and we're excited to be here.
And you started in Minneapolis?
Correct. We started in Minneapolis. This particular brand we started the week of George Floyd tragedy, and we were able to move on from there and relocate to Baltimore finally this year. And after some months of renovation and designing, we were able to open up in the end of June.
Okay. Was there anything you wanted to say to Mr. Bramble? He might be, we pushed this question F. He's the one you're going to want to know down there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would just like to know, I missed the beginning, but I would like to know how question F will satisfy the entire city, including the area that I'm in.
Well, question F, and this is important too. I don't want there to be this, because people tell a lot of lies. Question F is not all of a sudden going to fix all of Baltimore. That's not real. right? What Question F is going to do is allow us to redevelop Harbor Place. That's what it's going to do. And if you've been downtown, you know, all the restaurants are gone, the buildings are vacant, tax revenues are falling. We need to reinvent our downtown. And the mayor has an entire plan called Downtown Rise, which talks about making downtown Baltimore more walkable, more green, more pedestrian friendly, adding more retail, and more residential and more sort of modern and efficient uses all along to really make it walkable. The idea is that you should be able to walk, eat, party, drink all the way from Harbor East, all the way down to the ballparks, up to UMB, and basically all around downtown Baltimore. That's what's going to make it attractive. When you go to other cities that are working, that's what you see. It's walkable, it's green, it's attractive. So I think that that's what the heart of Question F is about. It is about redeveloping downtown Baltimore. And without that, without amending the charter to allow for the redevelopment, we will not be able to move forward.
Well, look, you ain't got to go down to the harbor either. You can come down on West North Avenue. So let me tell you what we doing there at West North Avenue. So last year we invested $9.7 million in small businesses and developers to acquire vacant and blighted property. Actually, we invested in 6 Black female food entrepreneurs and the food hall that will be opening up. So we paid 100% of their kitchen equipment. And then this Saturday, what we'll be doing for our comprehensive planning session, we'll be rolling out what we call our building design concepts for 8 locations along West North Avenue, from the 31 to 3200 block, where we would like to see a grocery store set up, building design concepts for 95% of the vacant homes between the 27 and 2900 block. Then I don't know if you're familiar with the Image Center near West North Avenue in Smallwood. We have a design concept of turning that into an entrepreneur zone. And then we have about 3 or 4 designs for the Penn North area. Like, I'm really excited about the opportunity of maybe having there be a nice open space and green space, a movie theater, a grocery store, opening up that. And in fact, if people drive down West North Avenue in Penn now, you'll see it much more cleaner than it used to be, because that's the state. That's WNADA investing in the clean and green funding, and also unarmed public safety. And then at the intersection of West North Avenue and McCullough, we're looking at that as a restaurant zone. So we're looking at individuals such as you teaming up with about 5 of the Black minority restaurant entrepreneurs that want to invest, and we can support that. For example, our average grant for a commercial acquisition is about $150,000. And so I think that's, a great subsidy to get started. And then also helping big developers like David Bramble and Alex Aaron at Blank Slate. Our board just yesterday voted to award them in a joint venture $1 million for the 600 block West North Avenue, with the hope that they acquire that and to be able to be a grocery store in that area. And that was just for the acquisition and security of that spot, right? And so obviously we hope to have more discussions with them about the development and hopefully subsidizing that further.
So
David, that's my spiel, David. I do my stuff quick, David.
I just think that people have to understand that unless we are, look, you can build pretty buildings downtown, which I will build, but if the neighborhoods are weak, it's all going to fall back apart. We gotta reinforce the neighborhoods. We gotta fill them up with people and businesses, and get people engaged in the economy and their future and growth. And like I said, that it's doable. And when you come back to North Avenue, you will see all this opportunity.
David, I gotta take you back. Next year will mark 10 years since. And I'll go out on a limb and say the worst day in Baltimore in our lifetime. Penn North, which is just blocks from where you live, just blocks from where I live, became the epicenter of international media attention. Just down the street from me, I saw a car on fire, and the thought rushed through my head, Is it time to leave? Is it time to go out to the county and hang with your siblings? And something said, no, you got to stay here. But I remember the protests. You saw Danny Glover walking down West North Avenue with other protesters, Jamal Bryant and all of those names. But here we are, less than 10 years later, because I have been banging that question, what about Penn North? What about North Avenue? And now we see a 180. We see what we've been wanting to see. So I want to know, did you have anything to do with this $28 million that Governor Westmore dumped into West North Avenue?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I hope so. I try to support it. But I will say one thing to you. When the West North Avenue Development Authority was first announced, it was announced at Coppin. And I was almost brought to tears because it was a recognition that West Baltimore, just like any other place, deserves major investment. And I remember, they asked me to speak, and as I was sitting there thinking about it, I was like, my God, this is it. This is really going to happen. And then when we got Chad, because Chad joined a little bit later, I was like, not only did they allocate the money, but they're allocating the resources to execute. And now it's actually happening. I mean, the thing about it is people don't believe anything until they see it, right? Like no one believed. We did a project across from Johns Hopkins Bayview, which was a dump, a toxic waste dump that we cleaned up, did a $20 million cleanup and invested $250 million in East Baltimore. I would tell you not a soul believed it was going to happen till they saw the actual stuff coming out of the ground. So what I'm really excited about now is now you see our new gateway to West Baltimore, Reservoir Square happening. You see the work that WNADA is doing cleaning up. We need more people to pitch in, lean in, and get excited about doing investments in our neighborhoods. So it's real. This can happen. And so I'm glad you brought that up because, like I said, I remember literally being on the verge. I'm not a sentimental or emotional person either, but just to see that, oh shit, oh excuse my French, oh crap, we really are about to invest in this Black neighborhood in a real serious way, and not just building affordable housing because we need affordable housing, but we also need opportunities for middle class folks to have part of the neighborhood too, and businesses. So it's about all of those things and making sure our legacy residents have a chance to participate and stay and be part of a great neighborhood. So I'm really excited.
I always wanted to ask you, David, did your parents make you go to St. Catherine's on Division Street?
Yeah, of course. I went. That was my church. That was my pops was the rector. That was my home church. That's where I went my whole life.
Do you know
I probably spent more time in that church than any other building in the city.
Do you know how much street creds you get for being on Division Street? That ain't no jump, man.
Division Street's rough.
Yeah, it is. That's the thick of West Baltimore, man. You get street cred.
But it's gotten better, though. There's a whole new housing project over there. You should check it out if you haven't been in a while.
Yeah, John Dre at Druid Heights, they just did with Black Women Build. They just opened up some row houses on there and transforming that. And we've invested in $650,000 into them to start the acquisition and development of the homes on Druid Hill Avenue, right across from
y'all are gonna miss it.
Callaway. Yeah, people won't miss them.
Chad, tell them they are gonna miss it. People who are counting Baltimore out, talking smack about West Baltimore, East Baltimore, they are going to miss it.
And this one thing I'll add, Donnie, is that Blank Slate is currently rehabbing a old, it may be historic, may not be, old railroad lumberyard office building, which is actually going to be a state office for the West North Avenue Development Authority and some virtual offices for maybe the transportation, commerce, and DHCD employees. So you're actually not just going that, although we have social services department right there at West North Avenue and Pennsylvania Avenue. Think about having a state economic development agency have its headquartered offices right there on West North Avenue right beside Coppin, right on the Walbrook Mill site, with the American Maryland flag and security and all this stuff that come with it, with a state office. How is that going to like affect a child when they see that now they don't have to go downtown, or they have to go to Annapolis and see a state invested in their own street where they live? I mean, those are the things that I looked for when we were talking about areas that we wanted to invest in, and then where we actually wanted to have our offices. Yes, it would be nice to, have our offices on Coppin and back in the PEC building somewhere, but actually right on West North Avenue. How is that going to help transform and then get engaged developers like David to say, yeah, this is the place I need to invest in now.
So Chad, how would Frederick, now I know he wasn't thinking about this, can we recruit him to come to West North Avenue?
Oh yeah, I'd make a deal for anyone. I know how to make deals. David know that. I'll make a deal for you. You just gotta have the courage to come with me, and I'll make a deal for you to come.
Oh yeah.
He should be at Saturday's meeting.
Yeah,
we'll
meet
you
me
on
at
the west
Saturday
side.
meeting. Salisa will be the first one to probably offer you more than I will, but we definitely make you a deal. If y'all know Salisa, our economic development officer, she probably can find your number right now.
Frederick, we'd love to have you on West North Avenue. Doni, unfortunately, I have to jump. I have a meeting, but I want to thank you again for having me on. This is really meaningful and it's much appreciated. And Chad and Fred, I mean, I love the work you guys are doing. And thank you all so much. And obviously reach out if I can be helpful or answer any additional questions.
Vote yes.
Or vote yes on question F.
Thank you, big brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. So Chad, what'd you think, man?
In general, yeah, we about to do this on West North Avenue. I think we're about to do
How do we recruit Frederick and his team?
Well, look, first of all, I wouldn't negotiate a deal with him online in public like this. But first of all, you definitely, Frederick, man, I'm sure Doni, you can share our information, but it's public. You can go to our website, my email is on our website, and also my state telephone number. You can reach me there. But I would encourage you to come out to the comprehensive planning session this Saturday, October 26th at Unity Hall. What is that? 1501 Utah Street, Doni, from 10 to 12 p.m. We'll provide continental breakfast. We know people like to eat.
My God. Who does the breakfast?
That's an Antonio Hayes thing. He was like, Chad, stop being cheap. Feed the people. So y'all need to thank Antonio Hayes for that, not Chad Williams.
Yeah. Great caterers.
Excellent.
So he always say feed the people. So continental breakfast. What we'll do is just give a reorientation of the authority to everyone, because we might have some new folks. And then Quinn Evans, who we brought on to replace our previous urban planning team, will present these 8 concepts or 8 focus areas, about 1 or 2 different concepts for each one of these focus areas. And this is just really in line with the comprehensive planning sessions we started with the community at large, going back to September 9th of last year. And then we'll still have like 2 more parts to this on these building and design and site plan concepts. One will be hopefully by March, be able to roll out a streetscape plan for all of West North Avenue, from lighting, traffic pattern, improved crosswalks. And then hopefully by the summer, reveal how we want to repurpose some of the green space parks, like Cab Callaway, Herbert Street Park, Easterwood Park. I talk about Easterwood Park.
That's
it's almost
park,
as large
man.
as Patterson
That's
Park.
my park, man.
Yeah, almost as large as Patterson Park. And you see what it looks like, and you see what Patterson Park looks like, right? It's a total disgrace. And so those are the things we hope to run out. And that will be the completion, really, of the comprehensive plan, and along with the development officers and the rest of the team, just executing what we already have for our objectives and strategies of addressing the food desert, depopulation, vacancy of housing, commercial and real estate development, bringing Black businesses into the corridor like we did for the mill at North, and then improving neighborhood and supporting neighborhood capacity with our neighborhood associations. All of that is a partnership with folks like MCB Realty and Blank Slate and others to support that, including you, Frederick, to come on board and take that investment. You know, what I'm gonna tell you, I don't know where you're from, but you know, I'm from DC, as Doni said. You know, I didn't drive 2 hours from Baltimore to go to Princeton, right? But I had to take a 2-hour bus from Berry Farms to East Capitol Dwellings to get to UDC, right? So
Ain't that Southeast? Is that Southeast?
Yes, that's Southeast, Doni.
Ward 7, Ward 8. What up, Ward?
Oh, so one of the things what I will say is that on U Street was basically like dilapidated, vacant housing.
Yeah.
Right, when I was growing up. It didn't become something until Mark Barnes invested in Republic Gardens, right? It was a Black restaurant lounge. And then everybody started buying up property all along U Street, right? And it'd be one of these things that just get lost in history because we didn't have social media back then.
Sure.
We didn't have Google, right? Everybody wants to be the first Black person or something, right?
Right,
but nobody really knows who the first Black person really was because it wasn't social media for them to claim it at that time, right? And then on 8th Street, you had a brother who bought a restaurant that had stopped getting built. His name forgets me right now, but it was Smith Commons, Jerome Bailey. Jerome Bailey purchased Smith Commons, right? The Obamas used to go there all the time, but that started the investment along 8th Street. So what I say to people, there were 2 Black restaurant entrepreneurs who started the renewal of U Street in DC and 8th Street in DC, and they will never be heard of. Right, that's what actually started it. And so I say to you, you could be that next developer, that next restaurant entrepreneur to be that catalyst that changes West North Avenue. And so the question is, do you?
Oh yeah, we're in it. We want to be a big part of Baltimore, from North Avenue down to South Baltimore, down to east to the west, wherever there's need, we want to be a beacon of light. And I'm excited. I'm definitely going to check out the meeting on Saturday and see how myself and Chicks can be a part of making Baltimore a great place.
Yeah, sure.
You know, Chad, one of the things I've learned, Brooklyn, Philadelphia, and Baltimore to some extent, we can be insulated. We don't want to hear outside ideas. We don't, keep DC over there, you know, stay in Minneapolis. But if we're really going to grow and evolve and change, we need fresh ideas from other places and people from other places. We need the expertise from other places, because it is my belief that Baltimore has been strangled. We've been stuck on stupid for too long. And this is long before you got here, man. They've taxed businesses out of the city. And we want Fortune 500s here. We want our children to see great things on North Avenue, beginning on North Avenue, so that they know that they can go to City Hall, they can go to the White House. You know, I've covered the White House over 50 times, but we want more of our young people to know that they are just as welcome there as they are on North Avenue. So, you know, I'm opening up, I'm loosening up, and I realize we need people from other places to come in who also respect the culture here and can help us to grow together, not make us feel like, you know, in a negative kind of way. What do you think about that, Frederick?
I totally agree. It's going to take a village. It's going to take collective minds. And yeah, you know, you never know. There might be someone that isn't in Baltimore right now that's going to come and make a big impact. And I think the people of Baltimore should be receptive to that for sure.
Chad, one question that's been out here, and Joseph, thank you for the love. He's been a big supporter of this particular broadcast. You are, is it 200 yards north and south of North Avenue? Because I know Hanlon Park is a tad far. How far north and south is the footprint for WNADA?
Yeah, the most easiest way is to say 3 blocks north and south of the avenue. Okay. So that would be considered our buffer zone. And, what I will say is that, we're always exploring how we can be more supportive of neighborhoods that are south of the buffer zone. But one thing we want to do is make sure that we're really catalyzed and focused on our intent. And I understand people think we're doing great work. I'm trying to realize what that great work is other than just giving out some money, right? Projects won't start really seeing until October, and then people can say we're doing great work. But I definitely understand it's more, as David said, it was the execution that we did. Like, I think it just I have a great team. I pushed them, but we just really executed. We just completed our first fiscal year. And most people don't know that. And we just executed. And I think all of the team members that I have are really passionate about that. I believe half of my staff are native Baltimoreans. Half of them graduated from HBCUs, including myself. And so people have a passion for Baltimore and also uplifting our people.
I got to say this. Now, we have a Democratic governor, Wes Moore. We have a Democratic state senator who's been leading the way, Senator Antonio Hayes. $28 million has come to West North Avenue. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention.
Go ahead.
I got to mention Boyd K. Rutherford. I mean, he was the one that helped establish WNADA from the very beginning. And it was that partnership that also between Lieutenant Governor Boyd Rutherford and Antonio Hayes, they got Imaj Center. I mean, Imaj Made and Be More apparel, also frozen desert sorbet. And then he put the initial investment into the mill right next door to Coppin. And it was Ehrlich back in 2002 who dumped money into Coppin, where Coppin expanded up to Gwynns Falls and down to Baker. And so this has really been a bipartisan effort. And I'm not going to touch the other guy because, it's a politically hot season. But I will always acknowledge Boyd K. Rutherford because that's my brother, that's my friend, and he's always made sure I made some money. Here's a question about Art Social Club. Art Social Club been involved at all?
Yeah, definitely Art Social Club. We interact with Art Social Club on a regular basis. They've been part of the public safety conversations. Our transportation coordinator a couple of weeks ago did a walk about transportation in the Penn North area. But what I want to piggyback on Boyd Rutherford. So actually last week, Boyd Rutherford scheduled the Ways and Means Committee, chaired by Delegate Vanessa Atterbury, to come out and do a tour of West North Avenue. So we gave them a debrief. We're looking forward to the Senate Finance Committee, chaired by Pam Biddle, to come out. And people are actually just taking note of the creative, innovative approaches that we're doing, from our granting, from our procurement, our comprehensive plan booklet. As you know, Doni, everybody's now trying to steal how we did that. To me, with just basic common sense and experience over the years. But Boyd also serves as our outside general counsel. So he's actively involved in WNADA. And in West Baltimore, he doesn't do a whole lot of fanfare about it, but I think you're right on point with that, Donnie.
Well, you just got some street cred, man. Irvin Reed, one of the baddest political consultants this side of the Mississippi. I've known Chad since UDC. He's always cared about and used his talents and resources to help people. Man, you know who Irvin Reed is, man. He's from Baltimore. He's from Cherry Hill, right?
Yeah, he want to know. He like the
Godfather.
He like the James Carville for black folks.
Yeah. This is good stuff. Chad,
unknown. That's like he wasn't like that. Like I was telling Frederick, like that's one of them unknown individuals you wouldn't know about because he wasn't in the social media world back there. But
right.
Yeah, Irvin Reed is the real deal.
Chad, let's end this off by putting your contact information out there.
Yeah,
plug the meeting.
Yeah, so everybody can reach me. I hope not everybody is watching the show just reach me all out at once. But you can reach me at Chad, CHAD, at WNADA, WNADA.org. And I look forward to interacting with you or forwarding you to the appropriate team member that can support you. And I look forward to seeing you, Frederick, and sitting down with you, my brother, and giving you a deal you can't refuse, like the
That's
Godfather.
right.
And Chad, while we have you, please acknowledge your immediate team, starting with Teresa Stevens.
Yeah. So I know I'm probably gonna forget somebody, and somebody's gonna beat me up. But I want to definitely give out a shout out to our public affairs officer, Teresa Stevens. Teresa, most people know her. She came from the city as the director of neighborhood revitalization. So I want to definitely give a shout out to her. Our budget person, Shantae Roper, our procurement person, Tierra Sykes, special assistant, Kiana Pennick, executive assistant, she run my life and my schedule, Niela Crockwell. And then our development officers, Jared Jackson just started with us. Donnie's favorite person, the transportation officer, Eric Lane. And then Salisa Frederick will be interacting with her most, our economic development officer. Who am I? Oh, and then our general counsel. We can't do that without legal, Jasmine Torres. Let me see. I'm sure I'm missing somebody. Hopefully I'm not.
Hey, Chad, we welcome you. And I'm really proud. There was a question, but we can get to it another time about the Black Entertainment District.
Oh, I mean, you got time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, we're interacting with the Black Arts District, Lady Breon. We've been in conversations on how we can support them, particularly the center that they want to build that would spur Black culture and arts, economic development along that corridor. And then we're looking to do actually a street festival in partnership with Coppin's Summer Jazz Festival. And doing those 3 street festivals at the same time Coppin does his jazz festival, and contracting with a city arts entity that could do that for us.
Okay. Frederick, you want to, any final thoughts? And thank you for joining in. And Chad, thank you for being a team player. I didn't want you to miss this. This wasn't our initial plan.
That's all good.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Fred, you want to say goodbye?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. You guys can check me out. We're at 1724 Whetstone Way in McHenry Row. Also, I'm on LinkedIn. We're on Instagram, Twitter. Yeah, I would love to interact with anybody in the city. Anybody in the region. We're a community place, and yeah, come get some great chicken and biscuits.
I vouch for it. I vouch for it.
What an endorsement. Up to date, down tomorrow. Do your day and everything will follow. Nothing to it but to do it. I got to do it, regardless of how I feel. I am somebody. I am my brother's keeper. Good morning, world.